Hey, greetings everyone. Glenn Calloway from the basement, back with another video. I am starting a countdown to my 1000th video. This is video number 991. I think 1000 is a pretty cool milestone. And I'm trying to figure out a way to celebrate it. I was going to rank my top 100 albums, favorite albums, not greatest albums. And that was causing me so much stress and anxiety putting the list together that I thought, no, I can't do this. I'm all ready to go, but I just don't want to do it because the main reason because of the Beatles. I don't know where to rank them because I'm not listening to the Beatles anymore. I've put Sgt. Pepper at the top of my list of every greatest favorite list for my whole life. And now all of a sudden I'm confronted with this thing. Is it still it'd be definitely the greatest album of all time. It would, but my favorite. So when I do a ranking, it's always based on how I feel today, what I'm listening to now. I'm not doing a ranking based on how I felt in 1975 or 85 or 95 or 2005. If I was doing a greatest, like I said, the greatest albums of all time, it wouldn't matter. But so it's a revolving list. That's what makes it fun for me because it's always in a state of change. So anyway, I decided what to do because I was so anxious trying to put what's number one and what's number two, that I would just take these 100 albums or 100 albums, randomly talk about them, 10 of a video until I get to reach to 1,000. And so I pulled 10 out of my list. Here's my list. It's freaking like pages. So here's my list. I'm going to start talking about them. I had this one ranked at number 30. Bruce Springsteen's Darkness on the Edge of Town. This is my favorite Bruce Springsteen album. With Bruce, I had not heard those first two albums. Born to Run, I remember hearing it at my cousin's house. He had it. And I remember liking it, but not going, oh my God, he's the next, Bob Dylan. Then this album came out and I bought it. I thought I got to give this guy a try. And I frickin' loved it from the first time I put it on. That turned me into a huge Springsteen fan. And it's been one ever since. I went through a period with Bruce where I just stopped listening. And a couple of years ago, they released the No Nukes concert. And I had to get that because that's a legendary show. And once I started listening to that again, I renewed interest in Bruce. And so Darkness on the Edge of Town, my favorite Bruce Springsteen album. It came in at number 30 on my list. I might not be able to tell you where all of these came in, but that one did. Grateful Dead, my favorite band. Grateful Dead were not my favorite band from 1967 into the 80s when I started to go, okay, now I'm starting to really dig these guys. This album here and a couple of Jerry Garcia solo albums was what really, really sold me. This is Reckoning. Reckoning is an all-acoustic album, I think recorded in 1980. It's just fantastic. If you like acoustic music, this is, or you want to start with the Grateful Dead and you don't want psychedelic stuff and that, this is a great album. I always say to my friend Sam St. John, who's, I think, getting more into the Grateful Dead, this is the album he needs. This is the album. Run and buy this. Grateful Dead. Where the heck did it come in? Reckoning. I don't even know if I can find. I don't want to sit and... Reckoning came in at 44. It was in the top 50. Jethro Tull's first album. This was probably my third favorite Tull album. Aqualung, Minstrel in the Gallery, this was. Now this is so different from the Tull sound that we are all familiar with. This is a blues album. The first album was a blues album. The guitarist's name was Mick Abrams. This album came out in 1968, I think. I remember hearing it on underground radio. They used to play a track called Beggar's Farm on this album. It's a great, great record. This was Jethro Tull. I don't even know where that came in. Can I find it quickly? Maybe I should have made a note before I started. I'm not going to go too crazy looking. I don't know where it came in. Can't find it. Trust me, it was in there. Huge Johnny Winter fan. I go back to Johnny back to the 60s. I saw Johnny Winter band at Massey Hall in 1968 or 69, probably 69, when Edgar was still in the band. I mean, one of the great concerts I ever saw. Johnny wearing this black robe, and he was running back and forth across the stage, and Edgar playing the sax and the key. It was unbelievable. My favorite Johnny Winter album, and again, due to underground radio, they played a track off of this. This is called the Progressive Blues Experiment. They played Johnny's cover of "It's My Own Fault, Darling," and it just blew me away. I mean, this has been a fan ever since. Johnny Winter's Progressive Blues Experiment. This was a reissue, actually, on a yellow or gold vinyl. Pretty cool. Again, why can't I find these albums on my list? I have no idea where it is, so that's why, because I can't find the rest of the list. I wasn't looking for it. Progressive Blues Experiment came in at number 66. Jazz, John Coltrane. I had a really hard time getting into Coltrane, really hard time. I bought the Love Supreme CD one time, I don't know, many years ago, and it just was so hard for me to get it. And this album was recommended to me, Blue Train, and it would be top 3 jazz albums of all time for me. It's a great album. It's just really, really, this is the perfect jazz for me. It's just great. Coltrane was just incredible. And this is one of the Blue Note reissues. What can I say? This man was an absolute genius. Coltrane. Coming in at number something or other. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Anyway, it's in my top 100. That's the perfect segue. Tuesday night, I'm going live, talking with my friend Alex from Beer and Vinyl. We are going to talk about jazz. We're going to talk about how we got into jazz, our favorite jazz artists, show some jazz albums, maybe give you guys some ideas on how you could maybe get into jazz if you're thinking about moving in that direction. It should be a fun chat because Alex is such a great guy. Okay, Tuesday night, 8 o'clock, Eastern Time. Next, this is an album that I absolutely loved. I was a huge Joe Walsh fan, and it always just bugged my ass that he joined the Eagles and gave up his solo career, because he never put out a good album after he joined the Eagles. He just went for the money, and unfortunately, it worked for Joe, it worked for the Eagles, but it didn't work for Glenn. Barnstorm, my favorite Joe Walsh album. Fantastic record. Very acoustic, has a real dreamy feel to it. The songs kind of flow into each other. Beautiful, beautiful record. Barnstorm, Joe Walsh. We're doing a CD exchange with Larry Graves, and I just gave Larry the follow-up album to that, which was recorded with the same band. It's The Smoker You Get, The Drinker You whatever. I'm really interested in hearing Larry's thoughts on that album. Next, my favorite Beatles solo album, Plastic Ono Band. John Lennon's just bearing his soul. You can feel the pain, you can feel the love, you can feel the anger. It's just, what a brilliant frickin' record this is. Wow, Plastic Ono Band, just amazing stuff. Next, this album was number 12 on my list and could be top 10, but there's only 10 spots for the first top 10. I don't know if you know that or not. Salty Dog, Procol Harum, my favorite Procol Harum album. The song Salty Dog is my favorite Procol Harum song. This is a great album. Always loved it. Still play it. Doesn't get boring. What else can I say? That was number 12. Okay, the last two I saved for the end. This is my buddy Steve is going to be jumping out of his frickin' chair here. I did a Pink Floyd ranking a few months back. Steve just crucified me. Darkness on the not darkness on the edge of town. See, I can't even say Dark Side of the Moon. If I was doing a ranking of the greatest albums of all time, Dark Side of the Moon would have to get consideration for number 1 or number 2 spot. It belongs in that category. As a favorite, it bores the crap out of me. I can't listen to it anymore. Trust me, I bought this album when it came out, loved it as much as everybody else, played it for years and years and years. I cannot sit through this album any longer. Everybody's going to be shocked, but I just am so bored with this album. If I'm listening to Pink Floyd, I want to listen to something interesting. So I'm listening to Piper, I'm listening to metal, I'm listening to Obscured by Clouds, whatever. I just like the early stuff. I think it's more interesting. I think Wish You Were Here, Dark Side of the Moon, The Wall are you can't get through them. And it didn't make my top 100 favorite albums. It didn't. Here's the one that's causing me so much anxiety, I had to go to the doctor and get medication. Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. The greatest album of all time, bar none, by a mile. It sits above all other albums, in my opinion. It was just so influential. When it came out, it was just mind-blowing. If you weren't there at the time, there's no way to describe the summer of 1967 with Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. First album that showed lyrics on the back on a rock album. First album that I think double-tracked. The studio techniques they used were all legendary and influential. The album itself, the songs, the psychedelic nature of it, just an incredible album. So I'm doing my ranking, and I left number 1 spot open because it was driving me nuts, because this album has been number 1 on every frickin' list I've ever done in my frickin' life since 1967 for greatest, favorite, whatever. And now I'm not listening to the Beatles, but they're because it's kind of boring. I might have to put this on just to ease my freaking conscience. My God. So do I rank it number 1? You've heard the way I talk about it. Or because I don't listen to it anymore, is it not number 1 anymore? What are your thoughts on ranking? Like, how do you base it? I base it on how I feel in 2025, in the moment. These are the 100 albums that I'm passionate about now, not the albums I was passionate about when I was 16 or 26 or 36. And that's what's got me crazy. So anyway, I will be back with video number 992 and talk about 10 more albums. And thanks for watching.